Emma Sterling slammed her apartment door with enough force to rattle the picture frames on the wall. Her heels flew across the living room before she even made it to the couch, followed closely by her leather bag that landed with a heavy thud on the floor. She collapsed onto the cushions, letting out a groan that seemed to come from the very depths of her soul. 3 weeks. It had been exactly 3 weeks since Jackson Hayes had walked through the doors of Sterling Media Group and turned her entire world upside down. The man was impossible.
I understand, but we have to consider the market volatility. Let's review the data again.
Infuriatingly impossible. Emma grabbed the phone, pulling up her best friend Sophie's contact and hitting the voice message button. "Sophie, you will not believe the day I just had," she began, her voice dripping with frustration. "That man is going to drive me completely insane. Do you know what Jackson Hayes did today? He completely dismantled my entire marketing campaign. 3 months of work, Sophie. 3 months. And he just waltzed into the conference room with his perfectly tailored suit and his stupidly handsome face and told everyone it needed to be completely redone." She stood up, pacing across her living room as the words poured out. "And the worst part. The absolute worst part is that he is gorgeous. Like, unfairly gorgeous. Those dark eyes that seem to see right through you, and that voice that makes every instruction sound like some kind of command. I swear the man probably wakes up looking perfect. And he knows it too. You can tell by the way he walks around the office like he owns the place. Well, technically he does own the place now, but that is beside the point." Emma flopped back onto the couch, staring at the ceiling. "He is so arrogant, Sophie. So confident and self-assured. The kind of man who has never been told no in his entire life. I bet he snaps his fingers and women just fall at his feet. And yes, fine, I might have noticed that he has really nice hands. And maybe I have thought about what it would be like if he used that commanding voice in other situations. But that does not change the fact that he is completely impossible to work with." She paused, biting her lip before continuing in a quieter voice. "Sometimes I catch him looking at me during meetings. Like really looking at me. And my heart does this weird fluttery thing that I absolutely hate. Because I cannot be attracted to my boss. Especially not a boss who is a billionaire CEO who could have any woman he wants. He probably thinks I am just another employee. Just another person to order around with his perfect face and his annoying perfectionism." Emma sighed deeply. "Anyway, I just needed to vent. Call me later. I need to hear about your day so I can forget about mine. Love you." She hit send without looking at the screen, tossing her phone onto the coffee table and closing her eyes. For about 30 seconds, she enjoyed the peaceful silence of her apartment. Then her phone started buzzing. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then it did not stop. With a growing sense of dread, Emma picked up her phone and looked at the screen. Her heart stopped completely. The voice message had not gone to Sophie. It had gone to the company-wide group chat. The group chat that included everyone from interns to executives. The group chat that included Jackson Hayes. "No," she whispered, scrolling through the flood of messages. Laughing emojis. Shocked faces. Messages from Rachel saying, "Oh my God, Emma," and "Did you mean to send that here?" Her hands started shaking as the reality of what she had just done crashed over her like a tidal wave. She had just told the entire company that her boss was gorgeous. That she thought about his hands. That his voice affected her. And he had heard every single word. Emma spent the rest of the evening in a state of complete panic. She typed and deleted at least 15 different apology messages. She considered faking her own death and moving to another country. She briefly wondered if she could just never show up to work again and hope everyone forgot she existed. By the time she finally fell asleep, she had convinced herself that she would walk into the office the next morning and be immediately fired. The next morning came far too quickly. Emma chose her most professional outfit, a navy blue dress that she hoped made her look serious and competent rather than like someone who had just humiliated herself in front of the entire company. She applied her makeup carefully, trying to hide the evidence of a sleepless night. The office felt different the moment she walked in. Conversation stopped. People stared. Someone giggled. Emma kept her head high and walked straight to her desk, refusing to make eye contact with anyone. She had just sat down and turned on her computer when Rachel rolled her chair over. "That was quite the message last night," Rachel said with barely contained amusement. "I do not want to talk about it," Emma replied firmly. "Everyone has been talking about it." Apparently Jackson listened to it twice. Emma felt her stomach drop. He listened to it twice. According to Jennifer from accounting, who was working late, he was in his office and she heard it playing. Rachel leaned in conspiratorially. What are you going to do? Die of embarrassment, probably, Emma muttered, opening her email and trying to focus on anything other than her impending doom. She made it until 10 a.m. before the summons came. An email from Jackson's assistant requesting her presence in his office immediately. Emma felt like she was walking to her own execution as she made her way to the top floor. Jackson's office occupied the corner suite with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. His assistant waved her through with a sympathetic smile. Jackson was standing by the windows when she entered, his hands in his pockets, looking every bit the powerful CEO in his charcoal grey suit. He turned when he heard the door close, and those dark eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made her breath catch. "Emma," he said, and his voice was exactly as commanding as she had described in her message. "Please, sit down." She sat in one of the leather chairs across from his desk, trying to maintain some semblance of dignity even though she wanted to sink through the floor. Jackson walked over but did not sit. Instead, he leaned against his desk, crossing his arms and studying her. "I assume you know why you are here," he began. "I am so sorry," Emma burst out. "The message was meant for my friend. I was frustrated and tired and I said things that were completely inappropriate. I understand if you want to fire me. I will clear out my desk and..." "Fire you?" Jackson interrupted, and there was something in his expression that she could not quite read. "Why would I fire you?" Emma blinked. "Because I called you arrogant. And I talked about your hands. And your voice. And I basically told everyone that I think you are attractive." "You did say all of those things," he agreed, and was that amusement in his eyes. "You also said I am impossible to work with and that I dismantled 3 months of your work." "I was upset," she said weakly. "Your campaign did need revisions," he said calmly. "But perhaps I could have delivered that feedback more diplomatically. However, that is not why I called you here." He paused, his gaze never leaving hers. "I have decided to personally oversee your projects from now on." "What?" Emma's voice came out as a squeak. "I think you could benefit from closer supervision," Jackson continued, and there was definitely amusement in his voice now. "We will have daily check-ins. You will report directly to me. I want to make sure you are happy with your work environment and that you feel comfortable expressing your opinions. Clearly, you have been holding back." Emma stared at him, trying to process what he was saying. This was not a firing. This was something much worse. Or maybe much better. She could not tell anymore. "You want to supervise me personally?" she managed to ask. "Very personally," he confirmed, and the way he said it made her skin tingle. "Starting today. I expect you in my office every morning at 9 for our meetings. We will be working very closely together, Emma." She opened her mouth to protest, to say something, anything, but no words came out. Jackson smiled, a slow, devastating smile that made her forget why she had been worried in the first place. "You are dismissed," he said. "I will see you tomorrow morning. 9 sharp. Do not be late." Emma stood on shaky legs and walked to the door. Just as she reached it, his voice stopped her. "Emma." She turned back to look at him. "For what it is worth," he said, his eyes holding hers, "I think you are pretty impossible too." The following week passed in a blur of tension and electric moments that left Emma questioning her sanity. True to his word, Jackson summoned her to his office every morning at 9 sharp. Their meetings were professional on the surface, but underneath ran a current of something far more dangerous. He would lean in close to examine her work, his cologne invading her senses. His hand would brush hers when passing documents. His eyes would linger on her face just a beat too long. Emma could not tell if he was deliberately torturing her or if she was imagining the whole thing. Rachel insisted that Jackson was clearly interested, but Emma refused to believe that the billionaire CEO would actually want anything to do with her. She was just a marketing coordinator who had accidentally confessed her attraction in the most humiliating way possible. On Friday afternoon, Jackson called her into his office with news that made her stomach drop. "We have a client meeting in Miami next week," he announced, not looking up from his computer. "I need you to come with me. We will fly out Monday morning and return Wednesday evening." "Miami?" Emma repeated weakly. "You want me to go to Miami with you? Is that a problem?" He finally looked at her, one eyebrow raised in challenge. No, sir. Of course not. I just thought maybe someone more senior would be more appropriate for a client meeting. Jackson stood, walking around his desk with that predatory grace that made her pulse quicken. I want you there, Emma. You have good instincts for marketing strategy, even if you do tend to speak your mind without filtering. The ghost of a smile played at his lips. Besides, this is part of your supervision, remember. I said we would be working closely together. Emma spent the weekend in a state of controlled panic. Sophie came over on Sunday to help her pack, offering a running commentary of, this is either going to be a disaster or the best thing that ever happened to you, while Emma tried on and rejected outfit after outfit. The Monday morning arrived with bright Florida sunshine. Emma met Jackson at the private terminal, where a sleek jet waited on the tarmac. Of course he had a private jet. She should have expected nothing less. The interior was all leather and polished wood, more like a luxury hotel than an aircraft. Have you flown private before? Jackson asked as they settled into facing seats. No, Emma admitted, trying not to gape at her surroundings. This is definitely a first. Then relax and enjoy it. We have a 3-hour flight ahead of us. He pulled out his laptop, but she noticed his eyes kept drifting to her over the screen. The hotel in Miami was predictably luxurious. Jackson had booked them adjoining suites on the top floor with a view of the ocean that took Emma's breath away. She tried not to think about the fact that only a door separated their rooms. That evening, they had dinner with the clients, a husband and wife team who owned a chain of luxury resorts. Emma found her stride, presenting marketing ideas with confidence while Jackson watched with an expression of approval that made her feel warm inside. When the clients finally left, Jackson suggested a walk on the beach. That was impressive tonight, he said as they strolled along the shore, shoes in hand. You handled them perfectly. Thank you, Emma replied, surprised by the genuine praise. They were easier to work with than some bosses I know. Jackson laughed, a real laugh that transformed his usually serious face. Are you ever going to let me forget that voice message? Probably not. It is my only leverage against you. He stopped walking, turning to face her. The moon cast silver light across the water, and the warm breeze carried the salt scent of the ocean. Emma, he said, his voice dropping lower. Can I ask you something? Her heart started racing. Sure. Did you mean it? What you said in that message? She could have lied. Should have lied. But something about the way he was looking at her, the vulnerability hidden beneath his confident exterior, made her tell the truth. Yes, she whispered. I meant all of it. Jackson stepped closer, and suddenly the space between them felt charged with possibility. Even the part about my hands. Emma felt her cheeks flush. Especially that part. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering against her cheek. You have been driving me crazy, you know that. Walking into my office every morning, looking beautiful and smart and completely unaware of what you do to me. What I do to you. Emma could barely breathe. Jackson, you could have anyone. Why would you want me? Because you are real, he said simply. Because you challenge me. Because you called me arrogant and impossible and you were absolutely right. Because I've not been able to stop thinking about you since the day I started at the company. That was before the voice message, she said, her mind reeling. Long before. The message just told me you felt something too. His thumb traced her jawline. Tell me to stop, Emma. Tell me this is inappropriate and I will walk away right now. But if you do not stop me, I am going to kiss you. Emma's response was to rise on her toes and close the distance between them. The kiss started soft, tentative, as if they were both afraid of breaking the spell. Then Jackson's arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her against him, and the kiss deepened into something urgent and consuming. Emma felt like she was falling and flying at the same time, every nerve ending alive with sensation. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jackson rested his forehead against hers. This changes everything, he murmured. I know, Emma replied, her hands fisted in his shirt. What are we going to do? Right now. I am going to walk you back to your room before I forget every professional boundary I am supposed to maintain. Tomorrow, we will figure out the rest. True to his word, Jackson walked her to her door, kissed her once more with a tenderness that made her knees weak, and forced himself to step away. Emma leaned against the closed door of her suite, her heart pounding, wondering what she had just started. The next day brought their final client meeting. Emma could barely concentrate, hyper-aware of Jackson's presence beside her. Every accidental touch sent electricity through her system. When he placed his hand on the small of her back to guide her through a doorway, she thought she might combust on the spot. It was at the networking lunch that Tyler Morrison appeared. He was young, handsome, and clearly wealthy, with an easy charm that normally would have been appealing. He made a beeline for Emma the moment he spotted her. "I do not think we have met," he said with a dazzling smile. "Tyler Morrison. And you are far too interesting to be just another executive." Emma felt Jackson stiffen beside her before he smoothly interjected. "Emma Sterling, my director of marketing strategy." Emma, Tyler owns several tech startups on the West Coast. The title was a promotion she had not received, but Emma played along. Tyler, however, seemed oblivious to the territorial undercurrent in Jackson's voice. He monopolized Emma's attention throughout lunch, asking about her work, her interests, her favorite restaurants in Miami. She noticed Jackson's jaw tightening with each passing minute. When Tyler suggested they grab drinks later to continue their conversation, Jackson intervened. "Unfortunately, we have a flight to catch this evening. Perhaps another time." "Shame," Tyler said, pulling out his phone. "At least let me get your number, Emma. I am in town often for business." Before Emma could respond, Jackson's hand settled possessively on her waist. "Emma does not give out her personal number for business contacts. All communication should go through our main office." The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Tyler finally seemed to notice, his eyes moving between them with dawning understanding. "I see," he said slowly, a knowing smile spreading across his face. "Well, it was lovely meeting you both." As soon as Tyler walked away, Emma turned to Jackson. "That was subtle." "I was not trying to be subtle," he said, his voice tight. "I was trying not to punch him in the face for flirting with you. He was just being friendly. He was trying to get your number." Jackson stepped closer, his eyes intense. "And I hated every second of it. Seeing him look at you like that, watching you smile at him. It made me want to announce to the entire room that you are mine. Yours." Emma's pulse skyrocketed. "Jackson, we shared one kiss." "No," he said firmly. "We shared something much more important than a kiss. We shared the truth. And the truth is that I have fallen completely for you, Emma Sterling. I tried to fight it. I tried to keep things professional. But I cannot watch other men pursue you without losing my mind." Emma stared at him, her heart thundering in her chest. "This is insane. You are my boss. This could ruin both of our careers." "Then I will quit," he said without hesitation. "I will walk away from the company tomorrow if it means I can have you. I have built a dozen businesses, Emma. I can build another. But I cannot walk away from this. From us." The flight home was quiet, both of them lost in thought about what came next. When they landed, Jackson insisted on driving her home. He walked her to her apartment door, and the moment they were alone in the hallway, he kissed her with a desperation that matched her own. "Come to my place this weekend," he whispered against her lips. "Let me cook you dinner. Let me show you that this is real." Emma knew she should say no. Knew she should put distance between them and think rationally about the situation. But when she looked into his eyes and saw the same longing she felt reflected back at her, she heard herself say yes. The rest of the week crawled by at an agonizing pace. Emma found herself constantly distracted, replaying the kiss on the beach and Jackson's declaration over and over in her mind. The morning meetings had taken on a new dimension. The professional discussions were interspersed with heated glances and loaded silences. Once, Jackson's hand had lingered on hers when passing her a document, his thumb stroking across her knuckles in a caress that made her breath catch. Rachel noticed the change immediately. "Something happened in Miami," she declared on Thursday afternoon, cornering Emma in the break room. "You have been walking around with this dreamy expression all week. And Jackson looks at you like you are the only person in the room." "I do not know what you are talking about," Emma said, but she could feel her cheeks heating. "Right. And I am the Queen of England." Rachel leaned against the counter, studying her friend. "Just be careful, Emma. Office romances are complicated, especially when one person is the CEO." "There is no office romance," Emma insisted, but the lie felt hollow even to her own ears. Saturday evening arrived with Emma standing in front of her closet in a state of indecision. Jackson had texted her his address along with a simple message that made her smile. Dress comfortably. Tonight is just about us. She finally settled on dark jeans and a soft sweater, casual but flattering. Jackson's penthouse apartment was everything she expected and more. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city skyline. The decor was modern and masculine, all clean lines and expensive furnishings. But what surprised her was the warmth of it, the personal touches that made it feel like a home rather than a showpiece. "You found it okay?" Jackson asked, taking her coat. He was dressed casually in jeans and a button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up, looking more relaxed than she had ever seen him. "Your directions were very clear," she said, trying not to stare at the view or the men. "This place is incredible. It feels emptier than I would like most nights," he admitted, leading her to the kitchen where something delicious was simmering on the stove. "I am hoping you like Italian. I may have been experimenting with my grandmother's recipes all afternoon." Emma watched in amazement as Jackson moved around the kitchen with practiced ease, stirring sauces and checking pasta. This was a side of him she had never imagined, domestic and slightly nervous about whether she would like his cooking. They ate dinner at his dining table, conversation flowing easily as they talked about everything except work. Jackson told her about growing up in a middle-class family, his father a teacher and his mother a nurse, how he had built his first company from nothing in his early 20s. Emma shared stories about her childhood, her dreams of making a difference in the marketing world, her close relationship with Sophie. "I need to tell you something," Jackson said as they moved to the couch with wine glasses in hand. "About what happened at the office after your voice message." Emma's stomach clenched. "What about it?" "I did listen to it twice," he admitted. "The first time, I was shocked. The second time, I was analyzing every word, trying to understand if what I thought I heard was real. You called me arrogant and impossible, and you were right. But you also said I was attractive. That you thought about me. And I realized you felt even a fraction of what I had been feeling." "What do you mean, what you had been feeling?" Emma set down her wine glass. "You said something about this starting before the message." Jackson took a deep breath. "The first time I saw you was during my initial tour of the company. You were in a meeting, presenting a campaign idea with such passion and confidence. You did not notice me watching from the doorway, but I could not look away. I asked your supervisor about you, learned your name, studied your work. Everything you created showed creativity and heart. And then I met you properly, and you challenged me in our very first interaction. Do you remember?" Emma did remember. He had questioned one of her strategies, and instead of backing down, she had defended her position with facts and conviction. "I thought you were annoyed with me." "I was captivated by you," he corrected. "I started finding excuses to be in meetings where you would be present. I volunteered to review your campaigns personally. And then you sent that message, and I realized I had been given the perfect opportunity. I could bring you closer under the guise of supervision. I could spend time with you every day. I could figure out if this connection was real or just my imagination. You manipulated the situation," Emma said slowly, trying to process this revelation. "Completely," he agreed without shame. "I am not proud of it, but I am not sorry either. It gave me a chance to know you, really know you. And every day, I fell harder. The way you light up when you talk about your ideas. The way you stand up for yourself. The kindness you show everyone in the office. Emma, I am absolutely in love with you." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Emma felt tears prick her eyes. "You cannot just say things like that." "Why not? It is the truth." Jackson reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. "I love the way you bite your lip when you are concentrating. I love how you always smell like vanilla and something floral. I love that you are not afraid to call me out when I am being impossible. I love everything about you, and I am tired of pretending I do not." "This is crazy," Emma whispered, but she was leaning toward him. "We work together. People will talk. There are policies about workplace relationships. Then I will step down as CEO," Jackson said firmly. "I will bring in someone else to run the company. I will find another role, another business. Emma, I have been successful because I recognize opportunities and I commit fully to them. You are the most important opportunity of my life. I am not walking away from this." Emma felt a tear slip down her cheek. "You would really give up the company?" "For me?" "In a heartbeat." He wiped away her tear with his thumb. The company is just business. You are everything. She kissed him then, pouring all her emotions into it. Relief, joy, fear, love, all tangled together. Jackson pulled her into his lap, cradling her against him as the kiss deepened. When they finally broke apart, Emma was trembling. I love you too, she whispered against his lips. I think I have loved you since that first meeting when you were so infuriatingly right about my campaign needing revisions. I tried so hard not to feel this way, but you made it impossible. Good, Jackson murmured, kissing her forehead, her cheeks, her nose. I want to be impossible for you. I want to be the only man you think about. They stayed up half the night, talking and kissing and making plans. Jackson insisted they had to be smart about how they handled things at the office. He would speak to the board about transitioning to a chairman role, bringing in a new CEO so there would be no question of impropriety. It would take a few months, but he was willing to wait if it meant they could be together openly. Monday morning arrived with new challenges. Emma walked into the office with a secret smile, thinking about the weekend she had spent wrapped in Jackson's arms. But the smile faded when she saw a group of executives clustered near the break room, their expression serious. Rachel rushed over the moment she spotted Emma. There is a problem. Someone filed a complaint with HR about you and Jackson. They are saying there is an inappropriate relationship and that he is showing you favoritism. Emma felt her blood run cold. What? Who filed it? No one knows. It was anonymous. But HR is required to investigate. They are calling people in for interviews today. The day passed in a blur of anxiety. Emma was called into HR in the afternoon, where she sat across from Jennifer Williams, the head of human resources, and answered questions about her relationship with Jackson. She told the truth, or as much of it as was appropriate. Yes, they had traveled together for business. No, there had been no romantic involvement during work hours. She did not mention the beach kiss or the weekend at his apartment. Jackson was interviewed separately. Emma did not see him all day, which only increased her worry. When she finally made it back to her desk, she found a note slipped under her keyboard. My office. 6 p.m. We need to talk. By 6 o'clock, the office had mostly emptied. Emma made her way to Jackson's office with her heart pounding. He was standing by the windows, his back to the door, tension evident in every line of his body. Jackson, she said softly. He turned, and the look on his face made her stomach drop. HR has recommended a formal separation of our working relationship while they complete their investigation. They want you transferred to a different department, reporting to someone else. What? But I've not done anything wrong. We have not done anything wrong. I know. He crossed to her, taking her hands in his. But they have to follow protocol. Emma, I do not want you to suffer professionally because of your relationship with me. I do not want people to question your achievements or say you got ahead because of who you are dating. I do not care what people say, Emma insisted, but her voice wavered. I care, Jackson said firmly. I care about your career and your reputation. So I am making this decision easier for both of us. I already spoke to the board today. I am stepping down as CEO effective immediately. I will transition to a non-executive chairman role, and I will not have any direct authority over employees. Emma stared at him in shock. You already did it. Without discussing it with me. I had to move quickly before the board made things difficult. Emma, this is what I want. I want to be able to take you to dinner without worrying about office politics. I want to tell people you are my girlfriend without creating problems for you at work. I want a future with you without complications. But the company is your life, she protested. No, he corrected gently. You are my life now. The company is just what I do for work. And I will still be involved, still have influence. I am just removing the direct conflict of interest. Emma felt tears streaming down her face. You are really doing this. You are giving up being CEO for me. I am not giving anything up, Jackson said, pulling her into his arms. I am gaining everything. I am gaining you, without barriers or complications. I am gaining a future where we do not have to hide or worry. That is worth more than any title. She kissed him then, tasting salt from her tears mixed with relief and overwhelming love. I love you, she whispered. I love you so much it scares me. Do not be scared, he murmured against her hair. Be excited. Because we get to figure out what comes next together. The announcement of Jackson's transition caused ripples through the company, but Emma held her head high. Some people whispered about her connection to Jackson, but others recognized her talent and defended her work. Jackson was true to his word, stepping back from day-to-day operations while still maintaining involvement as chairman. Emma continued excelling in her role, earning a promotion to senior marketing director on her own merits. 6 months later, at the company holiday party, Jackson stood to make an announcement. Emma watched from across the room, surrounded by colleagues who had become genuine friends. He caught her eye and smiled before speaking. I want to thank everyone for making this transition year successful. We have accomplished amazing things, and I am proud of every person in this room. But tonight, I want to recognize someone special. Emma Sterling has brought innovation, creativity, and heart to everything she touches. She has made this company better, and she has made my life infinitely better. Emma, could you come up here? Emma made her way through the crowd, her heart racing, wondering what he was doing. When she reached him, Jackson took her hand and dropped to one knee. Gasps echoed through the room. Emma Sterling, you accidentally sent me a voice message that changed my life. You told me I was arrogant and impossible, and you were absolutely right. But you also made me want to be better. You made me realize that success means nothing without someone to share it with. I love you more than I thought it was possible to love another person. Will you marry me? Through her tears, Emma saw the entire office watching, saw Sophie crying happy tears in the corner, saw Rachel grinning from ear to ear. But mostly, she saw Jackson looking up at her with complete devotion in his eyes. Yes, she said, her voice breaking with emotion. Yes, absolutely yes. The office erupted in cheers as Jackson slipped the ring on her finger and stood to kiss her. It was not professional. It was not appropriate workplace behavior. It was perfect. Later that night, wrapped in Jackson's arms in his penthouse apartment, Emma thought about the voice message that had started everything. One accidental moment of honesty that had led to the greatest love of her life. What are you thinking about? Jackson asked, running his fingers through her hair. About how the best mistakes sometimes lead to the most beautiful outcomes, Emma replied, holding up her hand to watch the engagement ring sparkle in the city lights. It was not a mistake, Jackson said softly. It was fate. You were always meant to accidentally send me that message. I was always meant to fall in love with you. This was inevitable from the moment we met. Emma turned in his arms to kiss him, knowing he was right. Sometimes the universe pushed you toward your destiny in the most unexpected ways. And sometimes, calling your boss arrogant in a voice message was exactly the beginning you needed.